Hello everyone and welcome to my session Microsoft Defender for Vulnerability Management. In agenda, I will talk about overview. I will talk about how to reduce cyber risk requires very comprehensive risk-based vulnerability management in order to identify access, remediate, and track all your highest vulnerability across the most critical asset in the single solution. That is something new, actually, because that is a part of Microsoft Defender XDR, Defender for Endpoint, and now it is great because Defender Vulnerability Management delivery, asset visibility, delivery very intelligent assessment, and with a lot of remediation tools for your Windows server and machine, Mac operation system, Linux, Android, iOS, and network device. And using this approach, it is very important because Microsoft Threat Intelligence, breach likelihood prediction, some device assessment, and that is actually rapidly and continuously prioritize the biggest vulnerability in most critical asset and provide many security recommendations in order to mitigate risk in the field of cybersecurity. We must define some plan and capability, and after that we can start with Defender Vulnerability Management, how to discover and explore inventory, how to detect and asset threats, and finally how to identify many risks and prioritize remediation in order to track and mitigate remediation activity. That is our scope for this session for today. My name is Uroš Babić. I am a cybersecurity architect in Crayon company. I am also Microsoft Security MVP and Microsoft Certified Trainer. What is actually scope? I mentioned with the Microsoft Defender Vulnerability Management, we can empower our security and many IT team to breach workflow with many gaps, how to prioritize, how to address critical vulnerability, and a lot of misconfiguration in many organizations. Basically, I can reduce cybersecurity risk with continuous discovery and monitoring. That is the first, because I can use Agentless scanner in order to continuously monitoring and detect risk in my organization, even when device not connecting corporative network. That is a scope from unmanaged device, but I can use different approach in order to onboard some device in Defender for Endpoint. I can use, for example, Azure Arc for that approach from my on-premise environment in the cloud, and after that I can use automatically process vulnerability management. I share with you during session this session, and actually this is how we address this approach, but we can use some security baseline assessment in order to create baseline profile and measure this risk compliance against benchmark Center for Internet Security, security for example, technical implementation guide. I will show you later. Visibility in the software vulnerability, network share assessments. I can conducting authentication scan for Windows in order to scan some unmanaged device, in order to reveal some software vulnerability, and of course I give you after that some security recommendation for that, but important part, Microsoft Defender vulnerability management is also with credential to remote access for the device. I can create some service account in that purpose. Threat analytic with the timelines activity. I can use event timelines and entity level vulnerability management in order to understand and prioritize my vulnerability. And I can conduct with this very interesting browser extension assessment in order to view and list browser extension installing across different browser in my organization. I can see a digital certificate assessment in the single center certificate inventory page before expire and detect potential vulnerability. For example, weak signature algorithm. And after that, I can use many different assessment like hardware and firmware assessment in organization with different system model processor and BIOS. Each include some name and vendor, number of weakness, threat inside the number of exposed device. And after that, I can use risk-based intelligence prioritization in business context, device assessment to quickly prioritize the biggest vulnerability in my organization. That is one view, but with the critical data, including some common vulnerability exposure and exposed device, how to help me in order to remediate biggest vulnerability risk with my most critical asset. Focus is actually on highest threats, emerging threats, focusing on protects high value assets with the business critical application, with the confidential data, high value users, and finally, I can correlate many vulnerability management task with endpoint detection and response inside in order to prioritize vulnerability inactive breach with my organization. And finally, we have a remediation tracking. That is the third pillar. I can send some remediation request to my IT in Microsoft Intune from specific security recommendation. I can use alternative mitigation techniques, for example, configuration change that I can use reduce risk associated with software vulnerability and real-time remediation status across the domain organization. Block vulnerable application, that is a good approach for specific device groups. I can create device groups in Defender for endpoint for specific action and everything. That is actually how we understand this approach. And we have a lot of different approach for that. But why we use Microsoft Defender Vulnerability Manager? You can see on this slide consistency. I can use a unified scanner tool from my environment. I can include many containers in my virtual machines. That is actually ensuring consistent and reliable outcomes across different platform and technology. I can use efficiency, that is to save time, avoiding duplication of efforts. I can use cost-effective approach with the Defender vulnerability management with no additional license requirement. Everything is covering with my Defender for Server plan. That is include premium and the regular options. And of course, each plan has some specific scanner with capability. I can use seamless integration. Seamless integration like traditional solution, but this Defender for Vulnerability Management is actually seamless integration without the need for agent installation. That is, I can decide when I use some agent or not, depending what is my suite, what is the best approach. And these capabilities provided by Microsoft Defender for Vulnerability Management as a part of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint coverage. I can define some access with common vulnerability exposure, source with more than 30 real-world security bulletin, including NIST approach and many non-Microsoft approach with point of integration across Windows and Linux environment, and we do a lot of metadata, vulnerability assessment, how to fix information, how to get inside in defense involving threat compliance. It is very, very important part. It is assist of and help many organizations to comply with the cybersecurity standard and regulation. What is relevant in your industry, your region, security baseline is very important in that part. That is demonstrating some accountability for many stakeholders and like customers, like partners, like regulation. And actually, we can use the first for that approach, some Defender for Cloud. I can show this part. Defender for Cloud. For example, I can go in Microsoft Defender for Cloud, and first is actually environment settings. Environment settings, I can define my Azure subscription, and inside of my Defender plan, I can managing my Defender Cloud security posture management here. You can see this approach, and when I click for this approach, I can see Agentless scanning for my machine that is turned on, that is mandatory for my job. With the point of view sensitive data discovery, I can also turn on this part, what is actually my focus. And of course, in edit configuration, I can define some exclusion tag because Defender for Cloud scans my Azure machines with pre-installed software and vulnerability in that part without a registry agent, network connectivity, and impact machine performance. That is the first part. The second part is cloud workload protection. Because that is very, very comprehensive, and cloud native protection for development to runtime in multi-cloud environment, and I can use that approach Defender for Server Plan 2 because that is covering my part for Microsoft Defender for Vulnerability Management and Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. But I can go now in settings, my Defender in monitoring, and you can see Defender assessment for machine. It is enabled. That is select according my vulnerability assessment tool, and endpoint protection is also turned on. You can decide what is your approach for your work, but Agentless scanning for machine is also important to scan some machine for install software vulnerability and secret scanning without relying on agent impact some machine performance. But file integrity monitoring is also part Microsoft Defender for endpoint vulnerability management, but it is also part for environment settings in Defender for Plan 2. And actually, that is the first steps. The first is Defender for Server use, either P1 or P2 that is eligible Defender for Endpoint with the endpoint protection settings. Machine with Defender for Endpoint will be covered by Defender Vulnerability Management, and I can also enable here vulnerability scanning with Defender Vulnerability Scanning with this approach. And that is actually how we understand these settings, and after that I can decide, because I can use Azure Arc for my approach. I can go in my machine and actually I can see this is machine onboarding, and when I go in in assets in device, I can found this machine. And of course, that is my domain machine. I can go in device inventory, and I can see some discover vulnerability with the critical severity, affected software, when it's published, when the first detected, I can update, and what is actually threat. And when I open some vulnerability, I can go in a related security recommendation, and I can open a vulnerability page. It is very important. Prerequisite is onboarding machining. Defender for Endpoint, I can use some local script for that. Before onboarding from my on-premise environment, some machine via Azure Arc, and that is a standard approach. I can see overview, what is exposed device with the point of view vulnerability. I can see that is a Windows server with 544 vulnerability and 15.6 misconfiguration. I can see what is my vulnerability. I can see what is my misconfiguration in order to, after that, go in a related security recommendation, for example, and handle for this vulnerability in order to found and request remediation on this approach. I can define some predefined device group in Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. I can choose what is my scope, maybe all device or some predefined group for that approach. And when I go here, I can define what is software update, install, and action required. I can select date for that, and the priority define this low, medium, and high. And after that, I can finish with this approach. For example, I don't know, in tomorrow, and when I go review and finish, I can conduct my remediation. I can use many exposed device for that approach, installing device, associated common vulnerability export sure part, and with the exception option for work. And that is very efficient way. I can use in this scope some my Windows machine 11 with some operation system and built application in order to reveal and expose critical device. I can use server machine. That is but prerequisite for that is I onboarding machine. Onboarding machine it's very easy, because I can use Microsoft Defender for Endpoints for this approach. And when I go in onboarding, I can define, for example, from my Windows 11 machine connectivity standard, and I can define local script and just download onboarding package and install with on device. And after that, I in several minutes I can onboarding machine in my Defender for Endpoint, and that is appear here in device in assets, and that is a standard approach how we reveal and address this vulnerability. I can see what is critical asset, high risk, what is a high exposure. I can define in filter option what is my approach. I can define all of this process for all multi-cloud platform, like not only Azure, or for example, Amazon Web Service or GCP Arc. What is mitigation status? What is the criticality level? I can define what is my onboarding status, and for my device, what is device value, my device role, and everything. And that is very, very good approach how we address this vulnerability method. And when I go after that, I can see here, I can see in my vulnerability management dashboard a lot of very, very important information, how to protect and how deal with some score and exposure metric and insight. But I can see what is my exposure score, and this score is reflected with some current exposure associated here with the device in my organization. And I can, in all of this approach, see three categories. The first is a low, the second is a medium between 30 and 16, 9, and after that I can between 17 and 100 I can see a score over time, and I can improve my score. That is very important with different category for my Windows Server machine, for my Windows 11, Microsoft.NET Framework, Microsoft Edge, Chromium-based vulnerability, update Microsoft Visual Studio, and many, many others. And when we open this, I can also conduct some remediation requests for my approach in order to reveal and update my Windows Server 2022 or later version in order to mitigate known vulnerability affected from my device. I can see associated common vulnerability exposure, what is installing my device and what is actually my activity in that approach. That is my previous activity, how to address and how to remediate this vulnerability on my Microsoft Windows Server machine. Remediation is also important part because I can address my activity in order to block or turn on Microsoft Defender antivirus real-time protection, block all my Office application for creating child process, for example, and I can see a description how to enable that in block mode, what is recommendation, and related all my recommendation. And when I finish, I can click my mark as completed for this process. For example, turn on tamper protection from my device, update Microsoft Defender 2022 operation system, and build application in that approach. In inventory, I can see a lot of important information about software operation system platform, what is a vendor, what is a weakness, what is threats, and what is exposure device with some impact. And when I go in filter, I can customize this approach with the operation system platform weakness, with known or unknown weakness, threat with exploit, what is available, what is verified, and with a lot of different tag in that approach. In weakness tab, I can see all of this common vulnerability exposure, what is previously shared with some address common vulnerability score, affected software, what is age duration, when I publish, when I first detect, when update, and I can go and see all of this vulnerability, what is security recommendation in vulnerability description with the summary, what is the impact, what is remediation, and how to go with this approach. And I can go and see what is security recommendation, and I can see a number of weakness and how address this approach and how we actually request remediation for this. That is very important, but it is definitely very good approach for that. Event timeline is also important because I can manage my data events, what is occurred in specific time, and I can see how many I have some new vulnerability, what is my zero-day vulnerability, exploitable vulnerability, and configuration assessment if I have, and I can see all of this part in event details with related common vulnerability exposures, and I can go in a related security recommendation for all of this timeline. Baseline assessment, I mentioned, if you have some compliance device and I can define profile, I can go in my previous test baseline in order to show, and I conduct some customized configuration. I can edit profile and define what is my monitoring approach for my device against security state. And I can define the software, what is actually my operation system. That is Microsoft Defender Server 2022, for example. I can define benchmark, but you can see all different benchmarks, Center for Internet Security version 2 or version 1, Microsoft version 1 for Windows Server, or Security Technical Implementation Guide for 2022. And when I go in configuration settings, I can customize this approach for object access for the level 1, and DeepL inside is in level 2 for my labs, for my printers, for my real-time protection, account logon, password policy, workstation, group policy, domain members, network security. And when I go, because I previously defined some device group for that approach, I can assign all of this group what is previously defined for my scope. I can go in actually I can define some asset group for that approach, and I can reveal actually 9 device from my 4 device groups selected, and I can submit this in order to conduct security baseline in Defender XDR that is inbuilt in this approach and process. And after that, I can see how many devices pass, how many devices with some misconfiguration, with the point of view compliance and industry standard, and what is actually device scope for that. That is very efficient way for audit purpose. You can see now that is in accordance category what is actually for my domain machine or work groups, and I can address all of this misconfiguration and compliance issues regarding this regarding others vulnerability. That is what and you can conduct some security baselines, what is needed with the different edition and principle. I can use also group policy. I can use Microsoft Configuration Manager, Microsoft Intune to configure device settings value for specific baseline, and actually I can use download for security baseline from Microsoft Download Center and Security Compliance Toolkit, what is compiles to assist admins in management baseline edition for security baselines. It is also very important in order to address with many vulnerability and misconfiguration approach. Okay, I can continue with some interesting slide here. Yes, I mentioned this device inventory. I mentioned software inventory, how we address with also with some permission. That is very interesting regarding license. I forget to mention, because what is prerequisite? I can go on in admin Microsoft.com now, and you can see my billing status of licenses. I conduct here, I can work with Microsoft 365 E5. Of course, I can use developer license, but from my scanning and vulnerability scanning, I can use also Microsoft Defender for endpoint, and I can assign. I previously assigned these licenses for my work, and I can use Microsoft Defender Vulnerability Management. That is prerequisite to see my security and conduct my if you don't have if I don't have these licenses, I can see in Defender XDR this option that is actually as a part of Microsoft Defender Vulnerability Management, and you can see that is a baseline assessment. For this baseline assessment, I can after that conduct baseline assessment and reveal some compliance or no compliance device, what is top failing device, what is top misconfiguration settings in my device, and that is very, very important part for this approach. And I also mention in settings, actually, in device discovery, I can see my discovery set up for standard discovery in order to enable 4G detection, or for my device. But I can see here it is very important, because Microsoft defined my Windows authentication scan will be refreshed by the end of November 2025. That is something new. After date, it will no longer be support. That is interesting. I can download scanner. I can define some new scan for my network device, or I can define authentication scan for my IP address and host name. I can define target. What is a target? What is repeat? Hourly, daily, every 4 hours, 8 hours, and I can define my domain and the username, and I can create some service account for this approach. And first, I can download scanner, and after that, I can continue with this approach in order to reveal some misconfiguration and vulnerability. All of this I can see in my device inventory. That is the standard place in order to reveal some for my onboarding or non-onboarding device. I can control all of this process with the filter option, and that is very, very important part for this vulnerability management for endpoint. And in inventory, I can define and see all of these certificate details for my device, and it is very, very important. Microsoft Certificate Authority with certificate details, issue details, install device, and that is a standard approach. And I can control exposure score in my Defender for vulnerability management in order to quickly understand and identify high level of takeaways about the state of security of my organization, the point of view how many low exposure, how many medium or high exposure, and I can see very good graph and explanation of this exposure score. That is reflect of current exposure associated with my device, and this score is impacted by active exception. I can see Microsoft Defender for vulnerability management baseline assessments, and Microsoft Defender for vulnerability management is also very important part regarding Agentless vulnerability scanning powered by this approach across all clouds. I can define Agentless and 0 days configuration, continuous monitoring. For example, for every 24 hours, I can protect across registry and runtime. I can define full image coverage in the field exploitation insights, and that is very good approach. In the summary, the impact with the remediation part, how many exposure device and active device with some current common vulnerability exposure score with a lot of weakness and everything. And I can see mitigation status for my vulnerability application. I can control this approach and block all vulnerability version of application from some misconfiguration and what we have impact for our vulnerability score for better protection. That is very important. We have some up-to-date version of this software, and I can define what is actually vulnerable in this part. And you can see also very efficient, very interesting vulnerability device report by operation system platform, how many device or for each operation system exposure due some software vulnerability, how many vulnerable device by Windows version graph, how many severity level graph, exploit availability graph, what is vulnerability age graph, and each device is with some counting under the oldest vulnerability date and have some higher change for be exploited. And you can see score for device graph with the point of view, score for device, score reflects some collective security configuration posture for across many operation system application networking, and that is very good approach for that. And I mentioned dashboard is actually high level view of organization exposure score. I can conduct some baseline assessment in order to monitor security baseline compliance and identity change in real time. I can use inventory in order to discover and access my actually organization in a single view. I can see remediation activity in previously created recommendation exception. And in a recommendation, I can see all of this related threat information. I can also open ticketing in Tune, for example, or for my device are joined in Microsoft Entra ID and enabling Tune connection in Defender for Endpoint, and for my I can run vulnerability management related API calls in order to automate vulnerability management workflow for my machine, for my score, for my software, for my vulnerability methods, and list vulnerability by machine, by software. And finally, I can compare security feature in Microsoft Defender vulnerability management with the point of view planned capability. Microsoft Defender vulnerability management is actually it is a part of some alliances contract documents, but we have with the point of view what is our plan. For example, in Defender for Endpoint Plan 2, I can include device discovery, inventory, vulnerability assessment, software inventory, software usage insights, remediation tracking, risk-based prioritization, configuration assessment. I can define in vulnerability management addition alliances I previously showed in my admin Microsoft.com, and you can see in license option also security baseline authentication scan for Windows, block vulnerable application. All of this approach is actually covering by Microsoft Defender Premium vulnerability management capability for that. And you can use the third category, Microsoft Defender Vulnerability Management Standalone, that is provide a full Defender vulnerability management capability for any endpoint detection and response solution. That is full capacity. All of this approach, and just be careful in that part. You have three category Defender plan capability for endpoints and decide what is actually the best approach for your server, for your endpoint device, and you can decide between Defender for Servers Plan 1 or Defender for Servers Plan 2. That is actually this approach, but you can see a lot of other very good solution and advanced feature that is not covering by Defender for Server Plan 1, but you can see all of this option in Defender for Server Plan 2, and actually that is how we deal with how we compare with the Microsoft Defender vulnerability management plans and many other capability. That is all from my side, and see you all in the next session. Have a nice day.